Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Rattlecast. This is Tim Green with Rattle Magazine, and we're the biggest freewheeling live streaming poetry podcast on the planet, in your ears and on your laptops. Now, episode 309 is going to be a special one. We're going to be featuring and celebrating the winners of the 2025 Rattle Poetry Prize. We've got a whole lot of them here, and we're going to reveal the poems. We're going to share them live on the air, so you don't have to wait until December to hear what won. It's a really exciting sort of gala we're doing, and we're really looking forward to that. But we're going to start out like we always do with our Poets Respond poem. And before we get, I should say that Rattle is a publication of the Rattle Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit working to promote the practice of poetry. We've been in continuous publication since 1995 and are unaffiliated with any other organization. We just do all this. We love poetry. I know you do too, so please do click on that like button and share. Make sure you're subscribed, ring the bell for notifications, especially if you're new and don't always watch this show. You really should. You know, we spend about 2.5 hours or so just loving poetry, sharing poems, meeting a new wonderful poet every Monday night. Starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll see with the regulars sort of chatting in the chat how fun that is, how many people share great poems, how everybody gets to become a better poet by participating here and hearing great poetry every week. So if you're new and you're watching because you're waiting to hear who the winners are for this year's Rattle Poetry Prize, make sure you come back next week. We're going to have Roberta Beery on. It's going to be a great episode. So I hope you come back soon. And of course, please do click the like button. There's way more people watching live than have clicked like yet. And it always helps if you click the like button. Now, as I mentioned, we always start out every episode with our Poets Respond poem, keeping poetry relevant, in tune with current events, making it part of the national discussion, international discussion of our species, which is what poetry does. And we have a wonderful poet here, a past guest on the Rattlecast, David Mason, all the way from Australia. So, hey, David, you want to unmute and come on aboard? How you doing?
I want to just let you know that we've got a really high wind blowing today, and every now and then my stovepipe rattles and a pipe bangs on the roof. So if I sound like I'm being blown away by a tornado, don't worry about me. So far.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, I'm so glad you can make it through despite the windstorm. So your poem for this week was "Old Shoes," and this was one of those weeks where there was a huge news story that so many people were writing about, and of course, so often it's more rhetoric about opinions than it is poetry, which is finding something deeper inside of ourselves that relates to the news. And your poem really did that with "Old Shoes." Can you tell us your experience of putting the poem together?
Well, it happens to have been a number of things that came together uh, all at once last Friday. I was actually thinking about something entirely different, something personal, when I wrote a few lines in my notebook. And then, of course, the shooting of Charlie Kirk happened, and the shootings in Colorado happened. I used to live in Colorado, and shootings of various other kinds around the country, and all the subsequent noise around those events continues, and the divisiveness continues. And so I took these lines out to my studio out there and began to write more directly about what was happening in my native country. And then I realized I had these lines I'd written the day before and brought those into the poem. So there's a lot more involved, but that's the gist of it. The gist of it was something that comes out of a profound feeling of grief
Mm-hmm.
about the state of the world and the state of my homeland. I'm a dual citizen now, so I still vote in America. It matters a lot to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's definitely a feeling that so many people are feeling, and you put words to it so well. Do you want to go ahead and read the poem?
Sure. Old shoes. News comes of more killing in America, the usual recriminations filling the fountains of blame. Voices go up like rockets, come down like sticks, and leave their bitterness on the air. But I am thinking about a pair of old shoes, my father's, their leather uppers worn to a perfect sandstone smoothness, They're still serviceable rubber soles when I put them on and made them my favorites. One day, having walked through rainforest to the Pacific, I set them in a crook of driftwood and photographed them as one might photograph a man's face or pair of hands. Well made and wearing out, they were a pair of characters framed at the end of the road. You can leave a country as easily as you leave a pair of old shoes. What you can't leave is your love for the way they felt, the way you stood up in them, the country and the shoes.
Yeah, those old shoes by David Mason. Yeah, such a beautiful poem and so timely. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And definitely everybody should check out your Rattlecast. It was one of my favorite. It was a great discussion we had back then. We should do it again sometime too.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, and once again, that was David Mason with yesterday's Poets Respond poem. If you have a poem that you've written about current events, anything that's going on in the last week, all you have to do is share it by Friday night at midnight, and then we will publish at least one poem, at least one on Sunday. Sometimes we get another poem or two squeaking in midweek, keeping poetry part of the conversation. If you have a poem like that, please do submit it by midnight. And also, if you'd like to get those poems by email in your inbox, all you have to do is go to rattle.com. All the way at the bottom of any page, you'll see the email sign-up thing. Just put your email in, confirm it, and then you'll be one of the many people who get the poem of the day in their inbox every day. And we're going to take a quick break and go to our special, which is the Rattle Poetry Prize winners. We have a whole bunch of wonderful poetry coming up, so sit tight, and we'll be right back in just a moment. And we're back. Thanks so much for being here and for this special episode. And welcome to our associate editor, the prompt poems editor for later, and my wife, Katie Dozier. How you doing, Katie?
I am so excited. Sorry. I'm trying to tone it down. My energy's like, I came in and half like knocked over your desk, I think. So, I'm excited.
Well, it was so much fun just to announce the winners last year, but then it was your idea to have them on and actually share the poems. And of course, the routine thought is, wow, we got to hold those poems so people want to read the issue. No, yeah, and so you disagreed with that. Why is that?
Well, I think we need more immediacy in poetry, right? We need more excitement, and I'm all for getting the poems out there as fast as possible because these poets sure did write them.
they definitely did. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start out by talking about the money, though, in the contest, because Rattle is...
brass tacks.
Yeah, it is a fundraiser for Rattle as a nonprofit. The Rattle Foundation's a 501c3. This is our main fundraiser every year. And I think, we both agree that contests and publishing, everything should be as transparent as possible, right? And so we've always been very transparent if you follow our social media about like where the money goes and what we do. But we thought we'd break it down, and you think that's important, right?
Yes. I'm kind of almost jealous for people who don't work for Rattle that can use all this information even more. But I think it's really interesting to look at these numbers and really break down, how each entry goes to fund poetry, I think more specifically. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so we have these, let's see, I'm going to put up the first slide. So this is the amount of the number of entries we received this year, which is a record by a good amount. It was like 20% more than any previous year. So we've received 6,864 entries total from 6,403 entrants.
Wow.
And so that means, some people did multiple entries, which you, I think.
Yeah, the last year before, I met you or had anything to do with Rattle, besides the fact that I loved Rattle, I entered 4 times, and my rationale was also, too, like, I just want to support poetry. I also wanted the subscription, obviously. But, it's very easy to justify when it includes the subscription, which I think is a model that a lot of places do now. Yeah,
definitely. So that, if you do the math on that, it's $30 per entry. And so we raised $205,920, which is starting to sound like a TV telethon when we say things like that.
Yeah, it is, but we're not accepting anymore. So
we are not.
Less so.
Yeah. But then if we take a look at where that actually breaks down, where that money goes, this is how. Let's see. Did I do it right?
It's going to go to good places. Spoiler alert, everybody.
Yeah.
While we're
did I
pulling
mess up and accidentally? Let's see. Oh, I'm doing the wrong one. Sorry.
That's okay.
There's a lot of technical stuff. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah,
nice.
We don't usually have slideshows.
Yeah, with numbers on them.
All right. So of course, the Rattle Poetry Prize comes with a subscription to Rattle. And just so everybody knows how much that actually costs, it's good to know, especially if you want to start out a literary magazine.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking, too. Is everybody wants to know, like, what goes into making a contest, and this is how we do ours.
Yeah, so everybody who entered gets a subscription, and it costs $1.58 on average per issue of Rattle, depending on the page length. You use 100 pages for printing it.
We pay poets, of course.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, for printing, that's the paper and ink, and it's recycled paper and all that good stuff from our friends at the Sheridan Press. And also, we include a chapbook with every issue we mail out. That costs about $1.05 to make. They're shorter, but they have a cover too, so they're almost close, but less. Then also shipping. We ship at a nonprofit rate, but that still comes out to about $1.30 per mailing. And that's total $3.93 4 times a year for 4 issues. So $15.72. More than half of the entry fee is just to fill your subscription, which is a really nice thing to have. And really the thing is, if you subscribe without entering the contest, that's the sort of the bottom line at the end of the day there too. Now go on a little bit further, and this is the expenses, though. This is the downside of the contest, right? This is how much it costs. So that's
I know, and this is the part that I think is really surprising for people, because you hear like, "Wow, over $200,000. They're just raking it in. What are they doing over there?"
Yeah, definitely. And so if you look at what it actually costs to run a really big contest like this, like I said, to fill the subscriptions, that comes to, of that $205,000, $107,902 to fulfill those subscriptions to everybody who entered. Then, of course, we have $25,000 in prizes, $22,000 go to the submittable and credit card processing fees.
Oh, that's the most painful one. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah, it is. Submittable charges 99 cents per submission.
This slide.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the credit cards take like their 5% or whatever, 3%. Submittable takes some of that. But we used to. I don't know if you even know way back in the day how it was, Katie. But
I bet I do not.
Before Submittable came, we had the Rattle Poetry Prize. It came out in 2006. Was the first year.
You had a donkey and a cart.
We kind of did. That was when we used to. The issues would come from the printer, and we would actually have a pizza party stuffing in the things and sticking labels on there.
Also
We'd watch some movies.
Aww.
And for the Rattle Poetry Prize, you just had to order a subscription and then put your order number as the subject line of the email to an email address. And that was fine for 800 entries or something,
right?
But for this number, it would just be it was daunting doing the data entry for that. And now you just export straight away, replying right away. It's so much easier. It's worth all that money, believe it or not. So anyway, that's where the money goes.
And we want to thank you, for entering. And, I understand too that it can be a little bit like, when you get a rejection, nobody likes getting a decline. Sorry, we're not supposed to say rejection.
No rejection.
We are not supposed to say rejection, but declines, it can be, a little disheartening and everything. But the point of this all is that we are promoting poetry, and thank you for choosing to enter because you promoted poetry through doing that. So, and hopefully it inspired everybody to write better poems and work on them and send in their best work and have poems that they can publish elsewhere or share. So,
yeah, definitely. And just to finish this out, so $6,000 in advertising, and then the grand total at the end of all of that. Is this the slide? Yeah, here we go. Sorry. So we ended up making $44,000 basically, and that goes to fund all the other stuff, and that's actually how it works. So we started doing the Rattle Poetry Prize, we raised more money, that's how we could start paying poets for their poems. We started with 100, then 200, that comes out to about $30,000 a year. That's where the profits come from to do that. Then the Poets Respond, the Ekphrastic Challenge, the prompt lines.
Heck yeah, the prompt lines later.
Exactly, yeah. They're all added because we had extra money from the contest. And then the Daily Poems email, it used to be free. FeedBurner for Google used to do it for us. Now, with this volume, you have to have a service sending those emails out. That's about $8,000 a year. And with extra money last year, we redesigned the website, which hopefully everybody is enjoying that new super fast next gen. It's actually a next gen website.
Well, it definitely feels next gen when you get to click to add rattles to people's poems because I love that feature.
Definitely. Yeah. Make sure you click the rattle button. Yeah. We're still working out the kinks, but it is fun to do.
We are.
Yeah.
And a big way that we save money is by not having guest judges, because those can add up a lot, and that's where a lot of contest money, I think, elsewhere for other places goes to.
Yeah, and I think we should share a little bit too about how the judging happens.
Right.
Like, what do we do? That's a lot of poems to read.
It's a lot of poems.
6,800 entries. There's about, it's almost 4 poems per entry. Some people send 3 or 1, as one of the prize winners did this year. But that's 25,000 poems this year. So Megan O'Reilly is our first reader. She's been with us for 20 years reading poems. She cranks through. She's a really great reader.
Very impressive.
Yeah, and she pulls out the ones that are have a chance, and then maybe narrow it down to several hundred. Then I go through all those, narrow them down even more, print out the ones that really have a chance. Then we get this stack of papers, which I held up last week at the very end of the show, if everybody saw. And those we score on a scale of like 1 to 10, like Olympic style.
With decimal points.
Like
we're gymnastic judges from the 90s.
Exactly. And then, all 4 of us editors, Alan Fox as well, puts our scores down. We kind of combine them, and then we see what the combined scores are, and then we argue about them, which is the fun part.
Yeah.
And a lot of years, there's a clear winner. Some years, there's not, and there's a lot of debate and arguing, and that's just a really fun thing to do. It's a real pleasure to get to do this.
It is extremely fun. Yes,
it is. It's definitely a highlight.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So anyway, we got down to the winners, and we ended up picking some wonderful poems this year.
We definitely did. I think something that I'm really excited about is I think it also works as a very excellent cross-section of the kinds of poems that Rattle publishes, which I'm really excited about too. Yeah, we always love to have a mix of styles and subject matters, formal poems, longer narrative poems, all sorts of types of poems, shorter lyrics. All different topics, and so it really helps to be able to publish this many great poems and honor them all. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So we should start, and there are a couple poets we should go with to first, because they have later engagements. Let's go first to Lisa Wells, and Lisa
Hang on, let me put this up. So yeah, hey Lisa.
Hi.
I actually have. Wait. I have this more. I prepared all these slides. I have to use them.
There are a lot of slides, guys.
There are, because I want to put everybody, and I kind of forgot how we're doing.
It's good. You're doing great.
Lisa Wells. Her poem was The Accounting, and I'll scroll down to that. But hey, Lisa, how you doing?
For having me.
Yeah, well, it's definitely our pleasure. And so your poem, The Accounting, is one of those intense narratives. Do you want to go ahead and just read it right off the bat?
Sure. The Accounting. It sounds simple. Just say what happened. Say how it was. But euphemisms abound with violence as with love. As when my father's parents made him bend for the Board of Education, a 2-foot paddle drilled with holes in the interest of reducing drag. It was a DIY project. You can imagine the careful parent at their task, drilling one hole after another, not too close, to keep the board's integrity intact. I was 12 and visiting from out of state when I heard the famous to me line, "If you don't stop right now, I'll beat your ass." It was my 19-year-old sister speaking to her boy of not quite 3. He'd been chaotically arranging the condiment bottles on the diner's Formica tabletop. The clatter was truly rattling. She took him into the bathroom then and made good on her promise, so I was alone when the waitress arrived. Now the boy is dead. The sister is dead. Only I remain. Maybe the waitress. My math this morning is I'm double the age my sister was then. A mother myself, finally awake before light, illuminated by my own restrained velocity, the glow of my own 3-year-old boy asleep on the screen of the closed circuit monitor. When my sister died, I asked her widower, "What can I do?" He choked himself up. "You could write her a poem." Is that what this is? Dear Prudence, we're a spent metaphor. The coup contra coup. I thought we were obstacles, solidly in the path of the board, but no, we were only the holes it all passed through.
Yeah, beautiful, powerfully emotional poem by Lisa Wells, The Accounting. Thanks. Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that, Lisa. And
kicking
tell us
it off with the stuff.
Yeah, well, tell us a little bit about yourself too. I think most of the poets that we're going to feature tonight are poets who've not appeared in Rattle before. So we'd love to get to know you a little better. What is your background in writing? How long have you been writing, and what can you tell us about that?
Well, I guess like probably most people here, I started as a child, like penning bad Sylvia Plath ripoffs in my diary, which maybe is like not as much of a departure from my current work as I'd like to admit. But so I was sort of a career food service worker until I was 30, and then I went to the Iowa Writers Workshop and studied poetry, and have had a couple of books of poems come out since then. I'm also a nonfiction writer. So I had a book come out in the spring called The Fire Passage from Four Way Books. I live in Portland.
What I love so much about your poem in particular is that it keeps just drilling down and down and getting deeper and deeper, and arrives at this really perfect ending. So I was curious if when you're writing this poem, were you ever tempted to leave the poem earlier? Did you end up coming back to it and adding to it? Because it has such depth, and that's what I love about it so much.
Oh, thank you. I would say I'm typically tempted to leave a poem earlier, just for like laziness or like fear of, breaking something. But in this case, I think it was one of those rare experiences where it sort of found its form right away, which we're always thankful for. Because I would say, for the most part, my experience with writing poetry has been otherwise. It's been a lot tougher to find the beginning and the end. So, yeah. I'm glad that you responded to something in that.
Oh, great. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for writing that and for submitting it. And congratulations on being one of the finalists.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, y'all. And I'm sorry that I will have to run in a few minutes, but I'm grateful to be in your company.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Yeah. So once again, that was Lisa Wells with her poem The Accounting, and that's one of the 10 finalists for the Rattle Poetry Prize. We should say too, if people aren't familiar, that the finalists are eligible for the Reader's Choice Award, which is chosen by subscriber vote. So what happens there is that after the issue comes out, there's a form at the back where you can just email your choice, and then the winner who gets the most votes is the runner-up to the Rattle Poetry Prize, and that's a $5,000 award. So it's only subscribers. You can't stuff the ballot box.
And it's close often. Also,
it is very close. We've actually had a tie. I think it was Ellen Bass and David Kirby tied each other, or
I can
something
see
like
why.
that. But there have been ties. There have been years where it was one vote, and so you think like, oh, our proofreader had a vote, and if he didn't vote for who he did, it would have been a different winner, you know?
Yeah,
so,
it's wild. But we also should have said, I think, at the beginning of this that the poets don't know which poem.
Oh,
yeah.
of
So that's
course.
really exciting. I think the poets that are here with us, that are the finalists and the winner, do not know which poem is the poem that is the finalist, assuming that they had more than one poem in their submission, which everyone except one did.
Except one did, yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be a surprise to everybody to see what they win. So that was Lisa Wells, once again. And next up, I think we're going to go to Luisa Muradyan, who's right there. And let me pull up her slide and reveal the poem that she had, which was Paris, which was one of the Rattle Poetry Prize winners. So, hi, Luisa. How you doing?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I'm good. Tentatively, I'm good.
Oh, it's great to see you. And you know what? I recognize you because you were at a reading that we were at. Remember, she read at the one where Nancy Miller Gomez was reading?
I do. Yes, Sarah, you were wonderful. You're a great reader. That's wonderful. I didn't know that was you, but yeah, I totally remember you, and that's great. And this is such a fantastic poem. I'm really excited for you to share it with everyone.
And that's a little bit like the feeling of, because we didn't mention this too. There's so much to mention with the Rattle Poetry Prize, but we have just a number at the top of every poem. So we have no idea who it is. Then we pick the winner, and then we reveal who it finally is.
Right.
And then we're like, oh, it's that person. Or it's like, oh, I don't know that. That's great.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It's always exciting, but it's like a different kind of excitement.
Yeah, it is.
It's like
at
a
the end
surprise.
when we get the reveal.
Underneath the bottom of the Cracker Jack box or whatever. And it was that because I didn't realize we'd seen Louise before. But hey, it's great to have you here. And so your poem was Paris. Do you want to just jump in and read that?
I am happy to. And usually, if I know you guys have seen me read, usually I pre-write my jokes, so I'm a little off, just try to be a little more prepared, but I'll see what I can do. Okay. Paris. Sitting in the cafeteria at Costco, I break apart my croissant slowly. In this rare moment, I am alone and imagine I am at a cafe where the Eiffel Tower does the magical thing that the Eiffel Tower always does in movies about carefree love and wine and fromage, where the characters might be clumsy, but in an endearing way, and everyone is hot in an objective way, but I am in my sweatpants and haven't showered in days, and I am not there for perfume, but for the family-sized package of children's Motrin, and you are back home ladling soup and firing up the thermometer that blazes red, which is an indication of desire, and yes, there is a river of puke in the hallway that rivals the canals, and yes, the snot on our toddler's face has crystallized like the rim of a creme brulee, but I still want you to meet me at the Champs-Élysées and tuck a flower into my hair despite the fact that it has been in a ponytail for weeks. Let us ride down this street together for just a little while longer and remark about how the air smells like freshly baked bread, and when I get home we can open this box of croissants and pretend that the hallway covered in crowns is the new exhibition at the Louvre and the stack of dishes resemble the Arc de Triomphe, because one day Someday we will go to Paris and stand inside of Notre Dame and be amazed at how much a toy car that is left on a prayer bench reminds us of home, our own cathedral that we built brick by metaphorical brick, alongside our untrained artists who know nothing of Monet, but everything about the color of the sunset on the Seine that in this light looks exactly like the orange cold medicine in this plastic cup that you hold in your hand.
Yeah, it's such a great poem, Luisa, and a great cameo as
Yeah,
well.
we see the cameo. This is exciting. Hello there.
Hi.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, okay, so ever since reading that absolutely incredible line comparing the dried snot to creme brulee, I have to thank you, because when I was wiping my daughter's nose this morning, now I get to instead think, hey, this is creme brulee like. So that's really exciting. And also, what I love about this poem is it captures why I love to travel, because we get to have these experiences and then we can bring them into the mundane moments of our everyday life. So I think it really holds up, the experience of how we get to live on through our memories, even when we're having these less than glamorous moments, such as when we were at Costco literally today earlier.
That's true. And reference this poem.
Yeah, we did. And I kept seeing like everyone with the croissants like walking around. It was funny.
Yeah, I think for me, Costco is like, like there's writers that are like, I'm the nature poet, right? Like you go out into the field and you have this sort of like really divine sort of moment where like art is coming into your head. I don't really get that in nature, but like when I'm going through a Costco, I'm basically in the Vatican. Like I'm like, look at this. This is a temple. Like this is, I'm feeling it right here, And so I actually have a lot of grocery store poems. I sometimes, just, yeah, that's a place of inspiration for me. So, I was going to wear my Kirkland sweatshirt, but I didn't know which poem it would be. So
We should have. I could have got one today. We could have been twins on the episode. It would have been very exciting.
Next. Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Luisa, for sharing that really wonderful poem.
Thanks, and great to see you again.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was where did I? Oh, wait there, and then. Sorry. I'm sure there's like more buttons than there usually are because I need extra buttons.
This
anyway,
is a flight control simulator situation.
So that was Luisa Muradyan with Paris. And next up, we're going to go to, we're going to go back and just doing it in alphabetical order.
Okay.
And the next poem is DeMarcus Burke, whose poem was Inheritance. So, hey, DeMarcus, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hi.
Great. Yeah, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
Same to you. Thank you for this great honor.
Yeah, well, this is one of those, the last poem we read was the sort of the first poem at our meeting that Alan laughed out loud with, reading. And this one was the first in the reading the submissions where I like felt a real pang. There's that like emotional response to poems you get sometimes. And this one really, really, got me. So do you want to go ahead and read it?
Yeah, of course. So, inheritance. Son, where's my car? Son, I don't have money for your mistake. Son, where's my credit card? My great-grandmother asked us in a voice, tired from raising children, then men, then the ruins those men left behind. She is 80 and still waiting for someone to do right by her. My grandmother yells across the kitchen at my uncle, who is 42 and still lives down the hall, late on rent, early for dinner. My mother, she works a double, then comes home to find my brother slumped on the couch, Xbox going, her car out of gas again. He says, "What's for dinner?" She says nothing, just walks past him like she always does. These women, backbones bent like coat hangers, wallets like open wounds, love hard. They love past logic, past insult, past the point of breaking. They call it family. They call it God's test. They call it nothing at all and bear it like scathe. If you speak against their sons, even kindly, they will call you raw in their defense, not because he's right, but because they've already paid the price. And if you challenge the cost, you question their worth. This is the inheritance. A boy grows up knowing he will always be forgiven. A girl grows up knowing she will always be expected to forgive. And I watch from the doorway as my little brother slams it shut. Again, I hear my father sigh. I see my mother's face fold in on itself, like the bed she made, but never gets to sleep in. I know what comes next. It's in our blood, like a lullaby. First you birth them, then you bury yourself. I don't want that. Not a baby, not a son, not the cycle wrapped in soft blankets, cooing, waiting to grow teeth.
Yeah, it's such a powerful poem, and full of, it's one of those poems that sneaks up on you with the metaphors, like that back's bent like a coat hanger.
That metaphor, it just hit me when I read that. I'll never forget it.
And the wall,
it's such a clear
wounds.
image it creates at the same time. It's so powerful, and the insight in this poem is just spectacular.
Yeah.
Sorry for my daughter. The other kids are coming to our rescue.
They're coming to the rescue. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, sorry.
Well, anyway, DeMarcus. So another unfamiliar face to us. So what is your background like a little bit? What can you tell us about yourself?
Hi, so DeMarcus Burke. I'm a native of Mobile, Alabama. I went to undergrad at Morehouse College, and that's where I sort of began my writing. I studied philosophy, and so in high school it started out as like romantic writing, and later on towards college, with me finding about myself and like my inner introspection, it went to more like identity and struggle. And I find myself writing because I think my on-paper voice is more confident than my in-person voice. Like even as my voice is shaking right now. So I prefer to write more than speak. And that's pretty much what this has become. Like I've been writing for years, and I finally got the courage to submit earlier in the spring. At our medical school, Michigan University, we have this paths of excellence, as they call it. So outside of medical school, I chose humanities. So we get to do creative writing together, go to museums, the whole nine. And so I use that as like my form of expression outside of medical school. So it's pretty much what I do. It's therapeutic. It helps me like battle with inner struggles, upbringing experiences, and it's how I make it through life. So I'll jot down daily and just expand from that.
Yeah, very cool. Well, it's that like, engaging with yourself, and digging into your subconscious that I think makes the poem so powerful. It's a true exploration of the material you're trying to confront, and you feel that when you read it. So it's a wonderful poem in addition to all those great lines too.
You can just feel the honesty in that poem. So
yeah.
It's a great escape from medicine, because medicine is overwhelming and it takes over our lives. So I love it.
Yeah, excellent. Well, so glad you do, and thanks for sharing that, DeMarcus.
Thank you.
It's been great. Yep. And congratulations again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that was, I'm getting better with the slides. It's DeMarcus Burke with Inheritance, one of the 10 Rattle Poetry Prize finalists. And if you join us late, we are going through the finalists first, then we're going to reveal the winner after that, plus the additional poems. We're not going to share those, but we're going to announce which ones they were as well.
The additional poems we're going to publish that aren't finalists.
Yeah. Yes. The semi-finalists,
yes,
you could call them.
We can call them semi-finalists.
We can, yeah, why not?
They're amazing poems too. Yeah.
So next up is a familiar face. Our own regular here, Rachel Greve, has a poem, and Rachel Greve's poem is, one second, let me pull this up.
Is there a way you could pull up her face at the same time? Because I want people to see if they're surprised or not.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt with the...
Okay, so Rachel, say hello.
Hello.
Hi. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm always for the Max drama.
Okay, so Rachel is wondering which poem it was.
Okay.
And it was Pentecost.
That's the one I thought it was.
See, it's a very dramatic moment.
Very dramatic. It is high drama.
High drama, yeah.
But we'll reveal a second thing, that there is a second poem that we also selected for publication, Rachel.
Oh,
so it is not just Pentecost.
Yes.
And you mentioned in an email to me, replying that you'd published a haiku or a few haiku before, but hadn't published much besides for this, right?
Yeah, this is my first accepted poem.
Oh,
ever.
that makes me so happy for you. I'm so glad.
Yeah, well, that is so great. And also,
I was very shocked.
Well, that's more surprising to me than that you were among the finalists, because when because you're on the Critique of the Week often, you leave great feedback on other people's poems on the Critique of the Week. And so, I expect you to be published widely, and I'm sure it'll be happening fast.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
So do you want to read Pentecost? And it's a haibin, one of the first form of the sequence. Yeah.
Which you guys introduced me to, so thank you very much.
Well, that actually feels really good.
It does feel really good. Yeah. This is an excellent haibin. So, yeah.
It is, yeah.
Okay. So, Pentecost. We sit in a pew with the convicted sex offender. He's 58 days out of prison, and after some negotiations, His PO has allowed him to be here. He may not use the bathroom without my husband's supervision. He's not technically allowed to speak to our kids. Around us, the congregation rustles a counterpoint to the pre-service music. Morning streams in through the high windows. Someone lights the candles. Defining what you know now, a hook in the mouth. We chat in undertones. He's here with his shy new girlfriend who looks very sweet and speaks almost exclusively Spanish. She smiles and tells us her name. Her language is not the language of this service, this English progression of confession, absolution, creed, gloria, their bright wings pinned down onto the pages. Together with us, she holds the words in her hands. Later, she says that this helps her understand a little. Printed liturgies, mapping what comes next. Immigration document. The minister reads Genesis and Acts, the yearly mosaic of Babel and Pentecost. Again, the tongues are confused, the building project falls apart. Again, the Spirit descends and everyone begins to understand his neighbor. Words reform, spoken and unspoken. Before 9 a.m., we are drunk on this thimbleful of wine, forgiveness. The service ends. The sex offender must leave within 15 minutes. Rosa and I say, "Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you." As required, my husband walks the two of them to their car. Words of flame hover over us all. Fired again. Someone has read the paperwork.
Yeah, so that's a powerful poem, a difficult topic, in the complexity that a haibun allows too. And those are great haiku in that haibun, Rachel.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, it's all true, and it's just I was working through a lot of things in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, not, like the last poem too. It's another one where you could feel the working out of like the moral and ethic and emotional things that come up with that.
Exploration.
Yeah. 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 And a perfect use of the haibun form too, the way it cuts in and out of the story. I mean, it really, I hate to say it, but you took all of our advice really well in how to write haibun. All the episodes we've had on that.
That's true. And I have to say too, when the reveal came out and it was someone who submits to the prompt lines, I was very happy to see your name at the top. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much.
It's been a learning experience for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Rachel, for being here. Most weeks, and it's always great to see you. And
are you going to tell Rachel the other poem?
Well, do you want to tell her now, or do you want to wait till the slide?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize we had a slide for that event also.
We do. Yeah, we have a semi-finalist. On
Yay!
slides.
Okay, well, the slide moment will be revealed.
Finally.
Later.
Okay.
I'll have to stay till the end.
Thanks, Rachel.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So that was Rachel Greve with Pentecost, and let's see. So next up, that was Rachel. And next up is right here.
It's a surprise to me too. That's nice.
Yeah, Jakiela is next, and I'm trying to. Hey, there's Lori. Hey, Lori.
Hi.
Yeah, well, thanks so much. And again, the surprise is ruined because Lori is the one who only submitted one poem. One of those rare birds who only submits one, and still had that poem be one of the finalists and one of the most moving poems that we had, and that was Build-A-Bear. So Lori, tell us a little bit about how this poem came to be before you read it.
Yeah, I want to thank you for having me and tell everybody how wonderful these poems are. It's just filling up my heart listening to you. So thank you. This poem, so I write nonfiction and poetry, and I go back and forth and back and forth. And I just had this memory. Somebody asked me to write about something to say about the world right now. And what do you say? And I had this weird memory of my mother like making these crazy bears. Like she just made them. And it's a memory that I've had for years. And it just bubbled up, and I was like, what the hell is that? Sorry. And I sort of started to work with it, and I started to work with it as an essay, and it wouldn't work. And I thought, oh, maybe this is a poem, and then I can sort of explore it better that way. And so it ended up being a long narrative poem about, it started with these strange bears and then sort of went everywhere from there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, why don't you go ahead and read it? It's it's the longest poem in this set. But looking forward to hearing it because it's a really great one.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel like apologizing to everyone because it is long. About bears, and it's long. Build-A-Bear. The spring my father was dying, my mother bought a teddy bear pattern from Joanne Fabrics. She stocked up on fake fur and cotton fluff, bits of felt and whimsical cloth, and an as-seen-on-TV bedazzler to add some bling. Then she churned out bears. Soon my parents' house, previously overrun with grief and silence, my father gone skeletal in a hospital bed set up in the spare bedroom, was overrun with bears. The bears lined up like an army on couches. They settled in chairs in the dining room. My mom propped them next to my father, who, in and out of consciousness, would flail and swat and say, "What the hell? Get it out." One night, I found my mother in the living room, surrounded by bears in matching caps and vests. She'd been talking to them in a kind of little girl voice. I couldn't hear what she said, and when I asked, she denied it. "You're not the boss of me," she said. "Mind your own goddamn beeswax." We often ignore how much of a child is still in all of us, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, that beloved expert on death, said. I met her once. She had beautiful eyes. When Elizabeth Kubler-Ross died, her children followed her wishes. They released dozens of balloons, then celebrated with ice cream and cake. All events in life are blessings, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross said, gifted to us to learn from. My daughter needed her tonsils out. The whole week before surgery, she worried and held back tears. "You can eat all the ice cream," I said, and she said, "Really?" and tried to smile. Tonsils, that not so serious rite of passage, but still. Losses start small. Tonsils, the size of jumping beans. Dying is something we humans do continuously, not just at the end, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who called her own death a graduation, said. My daughter was terrified. Doctors, needles. I was terrified, my sweet and only girl. And so, Build-A-Bear it was. Build-A-Bear workshop, that scourge of not-so-rich parents everywhere. To pay for a Build-A-Bear back then meant juggling bills or cutting back on groceries and lying to my frugal husband about how much building a bear at Build-A-Bear workshop actually costs. At Build-A-Bear workshop, everything is a la carte. The bear, the outfits, the shoes, the vanilla-scented heart that must be kissed before it's inserted into the bear carcass, which is then resurrected with cotton candy fluff and blown dry, then stitched Frankenstein-style whole. You can pay extra for a heart that beats or a heart that sings a Disney theme song. You can pay extra and record a message into the heart saying, "I love you," or "Hold me," or "I've got you," or some other message. 3 words or less. The average price for a Build-A-Bear bear with all the fixings is just under $100. $30 max, I promised my husband I'd spend on the bear that I believed my daughter needed as much as health insurance. At Build-A-Bear, bears come with their own birth certificates, printed with their official bear names. My daughter, never lacking in imagination, owned a stuffed dolphin named Puffy Squeaky Mart, and a stuffed monkey named Squinko. But she named her bear Teddy. At the hospital, she clung to that bear. The nurse in charge, a woman in Oscar the Grouch scrubs with the bedside manner of steel wool, asked the bear's name. "Teddy," my daughter said, and squeezed the bear to her fragile chest against her own tiny jumping bean heart. "Wow," the nurse said, "that's original," and prepped my daughter's arm for an IV while my daughter tried not to cry. In World War I, soldiers took teddy bears with them to the front to remind them of family and safety and home. Lieutenant Lawrence Rogers took his daughter Eileen's bear, Teddy, with him. Lieutenant Rogers kept the bear in his pocket for 2 years until he was killed in battle in Belgium. Eileen Rogers, Teddy, along with an unread letter from her 10-year-old brother, are on display in a war museum in Canada. In his letter, Eileen's brother Howard said he'd been enjoying the holidays. He'd gone to the movies. He studied hard. He joined the YMCA and had been there twice. He hadn't learned to swim yet. He was looking forward to swimming. I will have to close now because I am burning up all the electric light, little Howard wrote. Jumping beans aren't beans at all. They're seed pods. The jumping comes from moth larvae that can live for months inside the pods, pulsing and thumping this way and that as they grow. If everything goes well, in the spring the moths force themselves out with great effort, then live, small silver wisps, bedazzled fingernails glinting into the light, for a few days, if. An original World War I British soldier's Worcestershire Regiment teddy bear is for sale on eBay for $2,000.14. The bear is missing a leg and has a tree branch for a crutch. One ear is torn and the button eyes look shell-shocked. A medal for bravery is pinned to its chest. Teddy bears line memorials for children murdered in school shootings. Teddy bears mark places immigrant children torn from their parents are lost. Teddy bears line the gates of prisons and detention centers. Teddy bears prop themselves against walls, tombstones, makeshift roadside markers. Newspapers run pictures of abandoned strollers and teddy bears in bombed-out war zones. Too many to count. Too many to count. When my father was dying, my mother thumbtacked a teddy bear calendar called the Teddy Bear Calendar to the wall so my father could count the days. I'm going to live to 100, my father, who survived World War II, who wanted to defy time and doctors so he could have the time he longed for and lost, said. Teddy bears in tutus, teddy bears in tuxes, teddy bears with umbrellas and rubber boots ticked away my father's final weeks. What the hell is this, my father said, of the bears, the calendar, my mother's awkward fussing. Get it out. When I was very young, my father, never one for stuffed bears, bought Mexican jumping beans for my birthday. Where he found them, I don't know. Look at that, sweetheart, my father said, as I held the tiny pods in my cupped hands and felt the invisible hearts beat and thrum. That's real magic, my father said, and I believed him. I believed him again when, so close to death, my father, lucid, promised, "Don't worry, sweetheart, I'll be around." Something to take his mind off things, a little comfort, my mother, mad with grief, said about the calendars, and held one of her own creations close. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, that is such a powerful poem and such a beautifully woven narrative too,
Yeah.
Lori. I mean, you know, I wondered as I was reading it, you know, many times, how much research went into the, you know, you can really feel the nonfiction writer in that and the creative nonfiction coming out. Even like, it reminds me a little bit of like Bluewitz or a book like that, in the way that it's playing with repetition too, and the intense focus on the teddy bear. You know, just how much like research and background, how long did this poem take to write? Because it's one of the ones that didn't seem like it was like a quick, I just had the inspiration and rattled it off. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like a lot of writers, like when I don't feel like writing, I go down, you know, these wonderful rabbit holes and I just learn all about stuff. And I'm a journalist too, and so I like to check out whatever I can check out. So obviously I researched Build-A-Bear, how much they cost now, and just to make sure I've got my numbers right. And then I found out, you know, that soldiers carried these in war, which I really didn't know a lot about. And then so I wanted to read a lot about that. And so I read a lot, and, you know, as I was working on the poem, and then it just sort of, you know, I was trying to find these connections between things. And, you know, obviously I was like, this isn't really about teddy bears. It's about something else. Let me figure out everything that I can. And then Mexican jumping beans, I didn't know that those were moths. So I just, you know, you can get really obsessive like that. And I do kind of.
Well, what I loved about it so much is that to me, it's both an ode and then also a David Kirby style braid at the same time. And I found that really fascinating and really unique. And I don't really remember ever having come across a poem that allowed itself such movement, but yet stayed to the point in a way as well as yours did too. So I found it fascinating, and not just because I was at Build-A-Bear a few weeks ago for the Girl Scouts.
Great. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for sharing that, Lori. Yeah, great poem, and so glad we get to share it. And congratulations again, too.
Thank you. It's an honor. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so that was Lori Jakiela with Build-A-Bear. And the next poet up is going to be another one of our Rattle Poetry Prize finalists, is going to be Alexandra Oliver. So Alexandra, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you again. Great to see you.
Hi,
And
congratulations.
yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
And so to reveal your poem, it was Gated Community, which was the
Gated
poem
Community.
that won. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Gated community. Well, golly, thanks for picking that one. Well, would you like me to read it?
We definitely would. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, first of all, I want to say gated community takes place in my hometown, which is Vancouver, British Columbia. And it begins with an epigraph of location. Granville and 16th, 3 a.m. Granville and 16th is sort of where the residential community of Shaughnessy and Highcroft edges into more bustling businesses and then crosses the bridge towards downtown. Okay. Gated community. Granville and 16th, 3 a.m. Look downhill. That's where all the action is. Across the big bridge, the clubs, the kids in bars. You know full well what the attraction is. Their lives are much more interesting than ours. Imagine where the florid lovers meet in soiled glaucous hallways by the can. They smoke like kings and go to look at art. They never speak of how it all began. Pay no mind to the ribbons of distress. The rubs, the snubs, the little flecks of venom are nothing to a dame, a lame dress. They wouldn't know an enemy from Adam. Now turn around and face the other way. Turn your back to the crew so nearly gathered. It's not your wedding, nor is it your birthday. Your being here has never really mattered. Look uphill to the ghostly husks of houses waiting as you board the number 20. Between the lampposts now a river rises, memory, a sorrow shoal of plenty. Your home is on the market. Once you were young, loved, you know it now, but dumb as a plank. The horse has bolted, and the swan has sung. There's no one left to torment or to thank.
Yeah, that was Alexandra Oliver with Gated Community, one of the finalists for the Rattle Poetry Prize this year. And we always ask, like, I beg people, like, I literally beg for more short poems, more formal poems, more meter and rhyme in the submissions. And every year we end up with the longest narrative poem poets have is like their sort of go-to for submitting. So I'm so glad you sent this one because I mean, your use of rhyme here. There's so many great unexpected rhymes and the meter's wonderful, really well done formal poem. I did notice, I think if I remember right, looking it up to put this document together, that it was the last poem in your submission packet, I think. And if I remember right, and you seemed surprised that we picked this one. So was it sort of a throw-in kind of poem that you didn't, were you expecting a different one? If we might dare ask.
Be bold, be honest.
I had a friend, I thought it would be The Passenger because I thought that this is a group that obviously likes bears. And the passenger is about a bear. It's about a bear that locks itself in a Mercedes and eats the seats, as one does. And somebody once told me, when you put together a little mini manuscript for a contest entry, start with your real banger, and then have some other ones, and then end with your second best one. And Gated Community is such an incredibly personal poem that I thought, oh, they're not going to want this one, but it's an extremely personal poem for me. And my parents, I lost my dad in 2011 and I lost my mom last year. And one of the most traumatic things was seeing the filmed footage of where they used to live, because it went on the market, like seeing the drone footage on the real estate agent's site and seeing, and then I would dream about being in their place, but they wouldn't be there. And I'd want to find them. I've got to tell them. I want to say, look, I'm sorry, I was such a twit and I put you through the ringer and blah, 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 blah. But space is so important. It really informs who we are. So I wanted to write a poem about space, like the inner space of the home and the outer space of society and nightlife. And
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you did, and that especially the first and the last stanzas of this poem are just so good. I mean, they're very memorable, and well written, and great. Really grateful to have a poem like this represent, and maybe we'll get more submissions in this vein next year, because I do want more variety, and having shorter, more formal poems is something that I've been asking for 20 years for more, and so. But thanks so much for sharing this really powerful one.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a real honor. And it's nice everyone has been so wonderful tonight. Well done. Congratulations.
Well, thanks so much, Alex. Yeah. So is Alexandra Oliver with Gated Community. And let's see, the next poet up is, I think, the one poet I haven't seen. And it's actually a familiar face. So it's been mostly poets we haven't published before so far. But the next poet up is none other than Mather Schneider with Diary of a Bug Guy. And of course, Mather Schneider is a past winner of the Rattle Chapbook Prize for his chapbook, A Bag of Hands. And he's one of the most sort of, blue-collar, direct, telling great stories and concise poetry poets that we know. And he had this a series of poems about being a bug guy. And this is an amazing longer narrative, not quite as long as the Build-A-Bear poem, but 3 pages long, going into being a professional bug spray. What do you call it?
Exterminator.
Exterminate. That's the word I was struggling to find. Yeah, but a wonderful poem. So there'll be one poem to be a surprise because Mather's not here. I think we have everybody else. So let's go to after Mather Schneider. The next poet is.
Good job everybody being here last minute too.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's like 12 hours of notification.
Yeah, this is not something where they found out long ago at all. So
yeah,
I'm
that
really
is definitely
glad.
important.
That was the hope too. That was the gamble in doing it like this for the first time too. We're like, people hope they want to come. Like,
yeah, well, it really helps that Zoom, is everybody knows Zoom.
It helps that they're awesome.
It helps that they're awesome. A lot of things help. That's true. All right. So after Mather Schneider, with that, which we'll skip, a wonderful poem is up next. Andre Swanepoel. Let's see.
Are you going to get his face?
Yeah, we're going to get his face too. Yeah.
Hi, Tim. Hi, Megan. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Hey,
Andre.
Voice from over the sea. Thanks for the invite. Just letting you know it's 3 a.m. In South Africa. So if I'm looking a little bit groggy, that's probably the reason why.
Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much. And so your poem is The Day My Father Didn't Teach Me to Shoot. So was that the poem that you thought we might pick?
No, that's quite a surprise.
That's fun.
But it's a great surprise. It's a great surprise. Happy to read it if you'll allow me.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Great. So I can probably preface this and just say that for me, I write from I've been writing forever, and from experience and other people's experiences, and I think I've got a lot to say about my country and about my culture. So I'm very Afrikaans, and in Afrikaans culture, there's a very certain rhyme and a rhythm to the way life unfolds. Like, you're gonna go to school, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, you're gonna get married, buy a house, have kids, go to college. There's a certain way your life has to unfold for you to be a successful person in society. And this poem is really just about, like, sometimes it really doesn't go that way. And that's okay too. So here you go. Thanks for the opportunity. So the day my father didn't teach me to shoot. They said he would. The uncles, the neighbors, boys at school who already knew the difference between a clean barrel and a limp wrist. They said, you'll see. He'll take you out back one day, line up the bottle caps, hand you the rifle like a secret you're finally old enough to carry. But the day didn't come. Not at 13, when my voice cracked and I was still trying to walk like him. Not at 16, when the bruises on my shins weren't from the rugby. Not even at 18, when I thought maybe he was waiting for me to ask. Sometimes I imagine the drawer, the oiled cloth, the slow pull of the rod, down the mouth of something meant to be passed on. But my father wasn't like that. He never spoke of guns, never asked if I wanted one. I think he saw something in me, not a softness, but a distance, so wide and silent he didn't know how to cross. And he left it alone. I used to picture him handing me the keys to his bakkie, saying, drive like someone who knows what's theirs. He never did. And maybe that's the gift, to never be handed the weight that leaves a wound, one you never fire.
Yeah, another powerful poem, The Day My Father Didn't Teach Me to Shoot, by Andre Swanepoel. Yeah, and that was one of the ones that, again, the story is so straightforwardly told and pushes so deep into what it's exploring. And do you find, too, that you're examining your own life and trying to probe in with your poems?
Yes, absolutely. I think for me, poetry is a way to process my own life and also my surroundings. So in all my poems, I discover things about myself. I think you asked Lisa whether she writes and stops or whether she keeps tinkering. And me, I'm a bit of a tinkerer. So some of these poems have been with me for weeks and months and years. And I keep coming back and reworking. And as life unfolds, the poetry unfolds. So it's such a privilege to share it with you tonight.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. And congratulations again on being a finalist. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Yeah. So once again, that was Andre Swanepoel with The Day My Father Didn't Teach Me to Shoot. And the next poem up is a familiar face to everybody who watched the show last week, because the next poet is none other than Matthew Thorburn, which was a shock when we revealed that name, definitely. Hey, Matthew, how you doing?
Hey, Tim. Hey, Katie. It's great to be. I didn't think I'd be back so soon, but it's great to see you again.
So
honored to be here.
So we pulled up that name, and we were like, it felt like that Elaine from Seinfeld moment where she's like, no, and he just shut. She's like, no way.
So funny.
It was funny. Yeah, because we of course had no idea. And this is one of those. It's maybe the shortest poem. I'm trying to think of it. I think Mike White had a really short poem once. It's probably the second shortest poem that's ever been a finalist. And this is a semicolon. Now, do you want to read that?
Sure. Be glad to. Yep. So this is called semicolon, and the title is actually the piece of punctuation. Semicolon. For years I avoided you. Thought the clear finality of a period was best. Well, I was young. Such certainties were easy. They came with little cost. Now in middle age, I've come to love your lingering. The gentle way you link like a paperclip, two thoughts too linked to stand alone. Come to love this other way of moving forward by holding still a moment. Instead of ending here, we pause, we breathe, we walk on.
Yeah. And so that is, one of the things that we haven't mentioned yet is the way that we read. We read poems and then we sort of reread the ones we want to read again, and then we reread the ones we want to read again, and eventually we're down to like, you know, a few dozen poems that we just, every time we read them, there's more to discover, and we enjoy them more. They never get old, and that's really throughout the entire history of the Rattle Poetry Prize. It's been those poems, because especially with the way that the reading process goes, it is like we read the winning poems dozens of times by the time we've chosen it, and read them out loud and read them to each other, and, you know, read them between each other. And this was one of those ones that really grows on you, especially, you know, understanding what the poem is about and what that semicolon symbolizes. Right?
Yeah, so I'm familiar too with this movement to have semicolon tattoos for people that have gone through a lot in their lives and continued their life, you know, after terrible circumstances a lot of times, and this you know, commitment to moving forward, becoming for me like an extended metaphor for that, especially because it's titled, you know, with the actual punctuation, as you pointed out, of course, not called semicolon, which would be, I guess, a bit of a letdown for a semicolon poem, really, come to think of it. And then I love this concept of a semicolon being a paperclip. You know, more and more, I think it might be my favorite punctuation. I don't know, because it's underrated. And so this one really rooted for the little guy in the punctuation.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I didn't know anything about the tattoos. That's really fascinating.
Oh, that's
Oh, wow, that's
too.
really
I'll have to
interesting.
find out about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Where did we see that? Like, was there a
I
guest
think it
that
was
talked about
actually,
that, or-
I think it was Brian O'Sullivan had a prompt poem that was talking about semicolons a while ago. That's at least, maybe Brian can set me straight on the prompt lines, hopefully, as a poem to share with it.
Yeah.
But I think that's where I first heard about it, and then I looked into it and that. So, but what's interesting about that is, in not knowing that, you still kind of get to why everyone has that tattoo, right? With the ending, we pause, we breathe, we walk on. That's what I think people are connecting to when they choose to do that. So
yeah, and a thing
Yeah,
later in
that's
life, and really
interesting.
that, like you link like a paperclip to thoughts, to link, to stand alone, and what a great way to express that.
Yep.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming back on a week later, Matthew.
Yeah.
It's great to see you again.
Thanks.
Next
Thanks
week
so much.
might be a little less unlikely.
Well,
see.
he could write.
I know he needs to write like 50 Poets Respond poems.
No, he needs to write for the prompt lines.
Oh, for the prompt lines. That's true. The prompt lines would be a little easier.
It's gonna be a little easier, yeah. Well, anyway,
Thank you.
great to see you again, Matthew.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Yeah, so that was Matthew Thorburn with a semicolon. And who do we have next? So we already did Lisa. And next up, I think this is the last, right, of our finalists. Yeah, the last of our finalists. Then we'll
Before the
reveal
winner,
our
yeah.
winner. And so we're mostly going in alphabetical order here, like they do in the issue. And the next poet up. So that was. I didn't even do Matthew's slide. I'm slacking.
That's okay. I can vouch that you have all
There's
the
Matthew.
slides.
I have it.
There it is.
So next
Beautiful
up
slide.
is Alison Zhang with we want a surprise. Sorry. Alison Zhang with a poem.
Her face looks like she already knows. I can see her on the Zoom. Hi.
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 Thank you.
Hey, Alison. Yeah, so the poem that was a finalist of yours was "I Tell My Mother I Want Another Name," which it's just such a beautiful, concise lyric poem. It's just wonderful. Yeah, is that the poem you thought it might be?
Yeah, kind of. Maybe I think it was for me. It was between "I Tell My Mother I Want Another Name" and then "Glass Desert Anthem." Yeah, I think those two.
Yeah. Well, do you want to read it?
Yeah, sure. Okay. I tell my mother I want another name. She says names are rivers. Once you cross, you can't swim back. I think of how she changed hers on a plane between continents, left half of it floating somewhere over the Pacific. When I was born, she gave me a name, light enough to carry through customs. Now it drapes like a borrowed coat across my shoulders. I want a name thick with salt and hard consonants, a name that tastes like the village she never speaks of.
Yeah.
I find this poem incredible. I mean, every stanza has a hard-hitting metaphor in it, which is just so uncommon to see.
Yeah.
We talk about it a lot, how everyone thinks that there are metaphors just everywhere in poems, but actually, even when you look at good poems, there aren't that many fresh metaphors. And yet in your poem, you have so many of them.
Yeah, as we know from the Neil Postman Award for Metaphor, we're hunting for metaphors.
We are hunting we're metaphor hunters. It's
and so, and allowing the metaphor and the symbol to tell a story, so it's really a wonderful use of symbolic language to reveal and share that. Yeah, I really love that. Was this a poem that came out quickly, Alison, or was it a poem that took a lot of revision and time on?
Yeah, I think it was one that took revision because I always had this question about my mom. She changed her name basically from Chunjie, which is like the Mandarin, her actual name, to Jessica so that it could be easily pronounced. And for me, as I was growing up, I always had this question of like, why in some places she's writing Chunjie and in other places she's writing Jessica. And one day I was like, I want to put this down in words. And so I kind of just wrote down like basically what her name was and how that translated, and then thought about my name because I first started also with a Chinese name, but then it was translated to become easier, just like Alison. And so for me also, because I fly back and forth between here and China a lot, I was also thinking about the experience of flying. As well as the names that we kind of go through customs with when I go in front of and like show them my passport. And I think it did take a lot of revision because I wanted each line to kind of have that impact of, like quite short lines so that it could be, cut and you can see, kind of this transition between I'm here in the US and then I'm here in China.
Well, that's so effective, and the economy of language and the discipline with which this was written is just so apparent. No wasted words, really, just amazing. And one of those that it really hit me when I read it.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much, Alison.
Thanks.
Yeah. So it was Alison Zhang with "I Tell My Mother I Want Another Name," and it's one of those lyric poems. It's just another type of poem that we just always wish we get more of, from the Rattle Poetry Prize. So let that be a lesson to everybody.
Well, it's been so incredible looking at all the finalists, these poems. I mean, just it's been wonderful too to get to sit back and kind of hear them as more of a spectator distance from the actual judging and get to really get into just enjoying how lucky we are that all these poets chose to write these poems and submit them, and we get to celebrate them.
Yeah, it's been so much fun so far.
Yeah.
And I should say at this point, if you haven't clicked the like button yet, please do. There's twice as many people watching at least or have clicked like so far, and that always helps. And now we're going to reveal the actual Rattle Poetry Prize winner for 2025. And so the winner is right here. It's Morri Creech. Hey, Morri, how you doing?
Hi. How are y'all? Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. It's been great and such a pleasure to listen to such great poems tonight.
Yeah, well, and I'm so glad, and thanks for listening and being here. And it's one of those submissions where we rank the poems, and every time it like raised up, and we loved it more and more as time went on. And it's such a strong poem. And the poem was An Ordinary Childhood. Did I say that yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think so.
An Ordinary Childhood was the poem that we chose, Morri, as winner of this year's Rattle Poetry Prize. Do you want to go ahead and read it?
I'm delighted. I suspected that might be the poem, just because I don't know why, but just my spidey sense went off on that one. So.
Well, excellent. Yeah. Well, why don't you go ahead and read it?
Sure. An Ordinary Childhood. Our mother was a mousetrap under the stairs. She used as bait the things she never said. We'd hear a snap and find 3 silver hairs in an old passport, pinned like something dead. Our father was an occupying force in a town of collaborators. Good behavior meant not signaling in Morse enemy troops camped in a distant wood. Our parents paced, her mind a radio playing the classic dirges until dawn, his heart a spider web spun in the snow, catching the dusk sun before it was gone. For supper, they would feed us each a crumb of moonlight. Our house was a moving train. Evenings, they danced in a delirium of silence, drunk on a thimbleful of rain.
Yeah, just, I mean, so many great lines. Starting with the first pair, that our mother was a mousetrap under the stairs. She used as bait the things she never said. And with this poem too, the music is just so wonderful. You know, it's one of those poems. It's so fun to read out loud because of that. When poetry is the music of speech, and the music is so prominent in this poem.
Yeah, and the iambic pentameter just pulls us into the story in a way that I don't know if it'd be possible without meter to be right in this poem the way that we are, you know, getting to share in the breath of the poet as we experience this poem. It makes it feel like this is all of our childhoods, of course.
Thank you.
And I think you mentioned, I saw, you know, after the fact, that this is from a new manuscript you're working on that's sort of pushing in new ground, that you said in some way?
Well, yeah, for the last 2 years, I've been writing only Meredithian sonnets, so the 16-line sonnets. I wanted to have that extra couple of lines to be able to carry some narrative a little further, and I didn't want the resolution of a couplet anywhere in the poem. So, so I wanted to do these really weird, surreal poems that like that one, you know, that just is sort of weird and tilted, and so yeah, I've got a whole book of them now that this one is part of.
Yeah, well, we love them so much. I have to say too that there are 2 other poems from of the 4 that you submitted we'd love to publish, and so we'll mention that on the semifinalist slide as well, which 2 those are. But I just love, I mean, the music and the texturedness of the images and how much sort of unsaid meaning is inside all these poems, but especially in Ordinary Childhood. It's just one of those poems that you never get tired of reading.
Yes, because too, I mean, we have the concrete details, right? So we're able to go and it allows room for us to wonder exactly what is being talked about because we have these details like the mousetrap and things that we can hold on to in the present in the way that we all do in our own meanderings of thinking about symbolism and what's going on. And so it's through that. And then, I mean, you know, how the rhyme is full rhyme and yet you're not even focused on it because it's expertly done rhyme. So you just get to enjoy the sensation of it too.
Yeah. I wanted to ask too about the formal elements in your work. So you mentioned this was, I don't even know the form, a 16-line sonnet. You said, I'm not familiar with the term you used for that. What type of sonnet?
So George Meredith wrote, a 19th century British poet, wrote a series of poems called Modern Love that chronicled the dissolution of his marriage. And he invented a sonnet that rhymes A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, H, G, H. So there's no resolution, you know, no couplet to tie it up. And it's a little bit longer and I kind of wanted to, you know, kind of enter into the conversation about what the sonnet is and sort of take it in a different direction a little bit because most people don't do Meredith's sonnets. So I thought that would be a kind of a cool thing to try.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you tried it.
Well, definitely.
Thank you.
And then too, you know, I mean, just the formal elements that are so wonderful. If people do want to write more formal poetry, is there a way that you yourself have progressed your writing to be at this level of musicality in, you know, metered verse? Is there any advice you can offer for anybody who wants to write more like this? Because I hope people do write more.
I just, you know, I read a lot of, I try to read a lot of poetry that's in meter just to get it in my ear. And kind of stuff my ear with metered poetry if I, you know, as much as I can. But the book that really, the 2 books that really helped me, they're very different, but they're sort of prosody guides. One is called Poetic Meter and Poetic Form by Paul Fussell. And it's a little 110-page book, but it really explains how meter works in a certain way. And then there's a kind of the bizarro Superman version of sort of looking at it in an entirely different way. Timothy Steele's book, All the Funds and How You Say a Thing. and that book is really amazing and sort of tuning your ear to how meter works.
Well, great advice. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And
congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on winning this year's Rattle Poetry Prize. One we're really proud of and really happy to be publishing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm delighted well, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Morri. It's a pleasure to meet you too for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Yep. Yeah. So that was the Rattle Poetry Prize winner.
A 16-line poem, $15,000. That's almost $1,000 a line. Not bad.
Not bad. Well, they're definitely worth more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now, as promised, we're going to also reveal these are the extra poems that we published. In addition, we're offering publication, standard publication, that the $200 per poem going to go into the summer issue probably. And the first group is the one that includes Morri. So we have fast food breakfast panegyric. Panegyric. That's a word I had to look up.
Yes.
But I admit it. By Jennifer Blackledge.
A really fun poem. I really enjoyed it.
It is a really fun poem about stopping in a drive-thru.
About gratefulness, I would say.
About gratefulness, yes, exactly. Well, I was gonna get there in my sentence. Then we've got Rachel Clemens with Regulars. Mm-hmm. A wonderful poem about bartending.
Yeah.
And then the two by Morri. We have you seen the Marvelous Ruins? Mm-hmm. And also The Second Person, which was vying for...
the Second Person poem I love. I love that poem. Mm-hmm. It's brilliant. I laughed out loud at the first line, and I look at the second person. I got to stop thinking about that poem when I read poems in the second person somehow. It's my only problem, having read that poem.
Yeah,
so
that's a great poem, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so we'll be publishing hopefully those in this next summer's issue. Mm-hmm. And then after that, another round. We've got On Using My Sister's Name in Example Sentences in Class by Danielle DeCorcho. Mm-hmm. And that's the shortest poem we chose. It's only 3 lines, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Really fun.
Not haiku, also.
Not haiku, but a wonderful use of the sort of the silence of haiku outside of a haiku completely. There's no cut. But beautiful poem. Well, it kind of is from the title to the thing. But anyway, great poem there. Then Chad Frame, one of the finalists last year with Claw Machine, which was Katie's one of her favorite poems last year.
Uh-huh.
He's back with What You Remember from Statistics.
Mm-hmm. He's also on the Rattlecast.
Also Rattlecast guest, a couple months ago. And then, as mentioned before, Rachel Greve, one of the finalists this year, had a second poem. And it's always fascinating because especially in this, like, you know, with Morri's, you're like, oh, I think it's probably the same poet. Like, it sounds very similar.
Right.
These are great poems. But with Rachel, Angry Mouse.
What's a surprise?
So different from the other poems.
I have to ask, can we go to Rachel really quickly again? Because I want her to explain the impetus for this poem, because I read the note after the fact and I saw, and I don't know if you know.
No,
actually.
I didn't look at the notes except for the
Hi,
finalists.
Rachel.
Yeah.
Hi. I am so excited that you guys chose this poem because I get to tell this story. Which is that, so I was listening to some random critique of the week because I've listened to like 2 years worth of them. But anyway, Tim, you were making some comment about how adjectives aren't very strong. And your example was like, oh, if I said it as an angry mouse, it wouldn't have any emotional impact. And so I don't know why, but like I just got this picture in my head of this mouse, and so then this poem. So I'm just so glad that I got to tell that story.
Yeah, well, that's so fun. I had no idea.
I know.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I like burst out laughing, and then I was trying to wait to tell him for this moment so that you could, Rachel. So
yeah, but similar to, you know, short poems and formal poems and tighter lyric poems, like humor and lighthearted poems are something
really
that we're always lacking, because you know, you get so much in this, especially in this contest, of really, really heartfelt, longer poems. I mean, the average length for a regular submission to Rattle is probably less than a page, probably 3/4 of a page. And in the contest, it's a page and a half. It like doubles the length of poems people submit. And then they tend to publish more emotional poems. And then people choose, you know, we end up choosing a lot of those poems because that's the best poems that are submitted still. And then people see those poems and think, oh, I better send my longer poems. And it just continues like that in a feedback cycle. The same thing happens with the humor. You know, we just love more light, fun poems. And this was like I think that's the most fun poem I read the entire contest. It was really fun.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you sent that, Rachel.
Well,
I
thanks,
really appreciate
Rachel.
that.
Congrats again.
Yeah. So Rachel Greve has an Angry Mouse, which we'll also see in the summer issue. And then rounding out that part is All These Bright Things by Jacob Herrera Spears. A great, concise, tight poem there too. And then coming up, the last of the dozen extra poems we're publishing is Jimmy Pompous, a friend of the show too. He's here often, although when we switch back to Monday nights, his show is Monday nights too that he does. So I don't blame him for not being here. But he was a Rattle Chapbook Prize winner back in the day for Falling Off the Empire State Building. He's back with a poem, Caregiving, Car Crashes, and Charcoal People. Really intense poem there. Then Myron Stokes. And Myron, I have to say, I always think of this because he's the most fun. There's some people have like really fun email addresses, and his is Lord Myron, which is great. Yeah, I'm not saying the rest. There's other stuff. I'm not giving his email out. But I love every time I see his email because we published him before. Every time I see his email, I like smile to myself. I like that. But anyway, his poem is The Box with the Important Papers. A heartfelt poem about his mother. Then Matthew Thorburn again.
Wow.
And this is another. I had no idea this was Matthew Thorburn. I mean, not only did I had no idea it was Matthew Thorburn, but no idea that it was also the semicolon poem's author. You know, it's so different from the semicolon poem. Really beautiful ending in that made Alan a little teary. And I thought, I don't know, it was a great poem. And then Doing It in the Dark by Josh Tverdi rounds out the extra poems we're going to be publishing from the Rattle Poetry Prize. So, anyway, great group of poems there, and it is so fun. It's like so much of the summer is like dedicated to that reading, and then it's so fun narrowing things down and deciding which ones you think are the best and think people will remember and appreciate the most.
And then getting to see the poets actually read the poems tonight was like really thrilling. Like, I feel like it was just for me. I hope other people got something out of it.
Well, I think people are loving it in the chat.
Okay, great.
You know, we have a good number of likes and people watching still, so that's great. So I think everybody enjoyed this. We'll probably do this again.
Yay! Good. I really wanted to hear that, and we haven't even closed out the episode, and I'm getting to hear it. So that's exciting because I want to do this every year.
So it has been a lot of fun revealing all these poems and wonderful poems too.
Thank you all so much for writing them and for everyone that entered and is in support of these awesome poets and their great poems.
And thanks for joining us on short notice too. It was really cool.
It's awesome.
Even from Canada and South Africa. All right, well, now we're going to move on to our prompt lines, and it's unusual that you're already here, Katie.
I know. I did have a moment when you said that when I was like, wait, we're moving to the prompt lines? I'm already in the chair. What's going on?
What's going on?
Okay.
So anyway, the prompt lines, the prompt for this week was there we go. The prompt was to pick a specific obscure award and write a poem about it. That was your prompt for this week. And if you have a poem that fits that specific prompt, feel free to share it on the Zoom, which I'm about to deploy on Facebook and YouTube. Join the Zoom if you have a poem to share. A couple reminders. Email your poem first to promptlines@rattle.com. That's promptlines, all one word, at rattle.com. And that way we can show the poems on screen as you read them. So once you've done, make sure you do it because some people forget. Email your poem there first so we can show it on screen. Then join the Zoom. And a reminder too, the max time on camera should be about 3 minutes. So if it's a longer poem, be sure to jump right in. And it's a 1-page max. So if it fills up the whole page, it's a lot of text. Make sure you jump right in and read it. And if it's a shorter poem, we can chat a little bit. But we want to make sure we get to everybody. It gets to be late nights. We have, as we might have mentioned on camera, we got 4 kids in the house, all on their own. So hopefully it hasn't burned down in the process. But we will be right back with a whole bunch more poetry. And we're back. Thanks so much for your patience. Still with our prompt poems editor, associate editor, my wife, Katie Dozier.
She won't leave.
She won't. I try to kick her out. But she did check on everybody. Everybody's doing fine out there. Relatively speaking, yeah. Because normally, Katie's on for the second half, and so it's less of a window of possibility.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. We also may have bought a fort contraption thing at Costco today, so there may be a giant fort in the family room when you go outside, so get excited.
Well, that sounds exciting. Okay, I'm going to crawl through it later. All right, so the prompt was pick a specific obscure award and write a poem about it.
I just realized, could you write about the Rattle Poetry Prize? Does that count in the scheme of awards, even though it's like one of the absolute biggest poetry awards?
I think it does.
I didn't realize that until now. I have to say, too, though, I never give disclaimers, but it was a little bit like, I'll be the first poem reading after the Rattle Poetry Prize winner. Yay!
a little nervous there?
A little nervous, but,
that's too much pressure.
A little too much pressure. But, hey, that's poetry. You write your poem, you put it out there, that's the job,
Yeah.
All right.
All right, well, let's hear it.
Okay. The Turnip Prize. Perhaps it was inevitable once the Turner Prize threatened to award Tracy Inman's installation, My Bed, with anything besides clean sheets, as if dropping velvet ropes around whatever is enough to make it complete. Beside the mattress, a full ashtray, an empty vodka bottle, a razor, condoms, a squeezed-out tube of lube, and a pair of tartan slippers that even the dog won't chew. On the pedestal, first, I placed the pedestal.
Yeah, well, I love that haiku. Did you write the haiku? Did you start with the haiku, or did you cap the haiku like you usually do? Because that's a really cool haiku.
Thanks. Actually, this was uncharacteristic for me, where I wrote a much longer haiban and actually did think of the haiku in between the prose sections, but I didn't like the prose sections as much as this one, so I just cut it down to this. And the Turnip Prize is a real prize, and it's absolutely hilarious. I recommend searching it. My problem in the longer version of the haiban was that I realized I just loved everyone's entry to the Turnip Prize so much that I was like basically just putting them in the poem. Like one person that was like, it was called Cheese E, and they took a piece of cheese and carved an E into it, and it's like what people they intentionally make bad art.
That's deep.
Basically,
yeah.
It's kind of amazing.
Oh, so it's actually. So I did come across this and glanced at it when I was looking for weird prizes, and I thought it was like real stuff that people.
No, it's intentionally like making the worst art, and then the point of this poem is like, what's the difference between trying to be really brilliant and intentionally trying to be stupid, and maybe it's not that much.
Very cool. Okay, yeah, I missed that aspect because I was thinking that like my bed was a real attempt at art, and
that one is. That's a real installation. Okay. That was in. It was it sold for £2.5 million after being in places. Yeah, just to a lot of people, it's very real.
Wow.
But,
all right.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, how would you Never mind.
I know. It's a whole rabbit hole, I'm telling you. All right.
Okay. Well, that was Katie's poem, The Turnip Prize. And mine was based on this, the Nikon, how do you say that? Nikon. I'm not a photographer.
I have a Nikon.
Well, I don't know how to pronounce it. The Nikon Comedy Wildlife Photography Awards semi-finalist is this poem. And those are,
Comedy Wildlife? That's great.
It is, yeah. It's fun. I just figured, well, anyway. Okay. I figured this is an easy poem to write because there's so many really fun little pictures that you can look at. So anyway, Nikon Comedy Wildlife Photography Awards semi-finalist. I am not the red squirrel stuck headlong in the hollow of an oak, sun toes stiff as feathers at the end of an arrow. I am not the kangaroo playing air guitar in the clover field. I'm not the smirking snow owl fluffed with ice, or the common leopard frog swimming with my head in a bubble like the helmet of an astronaut. The face-planting tern, the belly-laughing seal, and the mantis dancing flamenco are nothing like me. I'm not the emperor penguin with my fin pressed to the chest of another emperor penguin telling him bro to back off. But I might be the sockeye salmon leaping over the wings of a bald eagle. I might be the moose with my forehead pressed to the back of a tree so that its branches become antlers made of bark. I might be anything not included in the gallery of lynx. I could be any smiling somewhere off the canvas, outside the frame, still funny and free. There's my Nikon Comedy Wildlife Photography Award semifinalist. There you go. It actually is about the Rattle Poetry Prize. So, no, I'm just kidding. All right. Well, anyway, that is our poems. Right. Let's see what everybody else has this week, and some interesting familiar faces who haven't been on before I see right now.
Exciting.
Yeah, because I've known Kevin Lemaster for a long time. I think he used to come on to the before it was the prompt lines and share poems sometimes. Hey Kevin, how you doing?
Hi.
It's been a long time, I think.
I'm doing well. I've been entering the contest for probably about 15 years now, so without incident, I might add. But anyway. I made up my poem prize, so I hope that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And let me pull
it's
it
the
up.
We Didn't Know You Had Talent award.
Nice. All right.
Those high school cheerleaders with their now thinning big hair and jocks who used to be the size of tree trunks, now the girth of a pole barn, all agree that I should receive special praise for writing a poem about our dead classmates. And I remember when acne covered me like Job's boils and no one engaged me in conversation. But now that I have showed them a particular prowess for poetry, they stretch out the red carpet and listen closely for something brilliant, something real.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. Yeah. The We Didn't Know You Had Talent Award for Kevin Lemaster. Thanks so much for sharing that, Kevin. Yeah.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. It's been
Good to see you.
used to come on sometimes, right? Like 6 years ago for the
Oh my gosh, it's been
Rattlecast.
forever.
It has, yeah. Well, great to see you again. Yeah.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah. It was Kevin Lemaster. Once again, with We Didn't Know We Had Talent Award. Next, let's go to I keep pushing the wrong button. I'm pushing a lot of the wrong buttons today. Let's go to Jared Campbell
You're pushing
next.
the right buttons
I'm
for
putting
me.
off the right buttons. Okay. Hey,
so-
Jared, great to see you.
Hi.
Good to see you. So I'm thinking an obscure award could be an award that you win for being obscure.
Way to take it
That
literal.
would be your take on it, Jared. That's
That's always
So
a good way to
didn't-
go, the hyper literal. Yeah.
I did an obscurity contest. Obscurity contest, judges 14 and 15. He burned like the sun, so they called him Sun Man. Sun Man saw a woman, and she was right in his eyes, but she was a Philistine and not one of Sun Man's people. He went to see her, and on his way he was attacked by a lion, and he tore the lion in pieces. After he spoke with the woman, he returned to his people. Some days later he came back to wed the woman, and look, bees were living in the carcass of the lion. Sun Man broke his vow not touch death, and he scraped honey from the lion and ate. Men came to the wedding, and Sun Man said, I will ask you a riddle. If you solve my riddle, I will give you 30 sets of clothes. And if you cannot solve my riddle, you will give me 30 sets of clothes. And he said, out of the eater, food. Out of the strong, sweetness, which is an unfair riddle. A riddle translates shared experience into abstract principle and challenges the listener to apply the principle and report back the shared experience. Sun Man's riddle is an abstract report of private experience, and private experience cannot be the content of a riddle. Sun Man broke the promise of commonness between speaker and listener that makes riddles possible. The unfairness of the riddle vexed the Philistines, so they took Sun Man's wife aside and said, tell us the meaning of the riddle, or we will burn your father's house down. Sun Man's wife took Sun Man aside and enticed him into sharing the meaning of his riddle. Sun Man's wife broke her vow and told the Philistines her husband's secret. So at the end of the feast, the Philistines spoke to Sun Man and said, what is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than a lion? And Sun Man said, if you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have reaped my corn. So Sun Man went out and killed 30 men and stripped them and gave their clothes to the Philistines. Thus he kept his vow. He abandoned his wife, who was taken by one of the Philistines. Sun Man changed his mind and came to see his wife. And his father-in-law said, you abandoned her, so we gave her to someone else. And Sun Man's anger grew hot. And he burned the barns and the cornfields and the olive orchards of the Philistines. So the Philistines came and burned down the house of Sun Man's father-in-law, together with Sun Man's wife and all the family. I ask you 3 riddles. Who won the obscurity contest? What did he win? What is the purpose of obscurity contests.
It's really interesting. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm quite ready to answer the riddles.
Yeah, I think we need to.
You're not supposed to be. You're supposed to take them aside and digest them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's going to take some digestion. But
Yeah.
that is a fascinating parable.
Sunman. Yeah.
Sunman. Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing that, Jared.
Thanks, Jared.
Thank you.
It was Jared Campbell with obscurity contest, judges 14 and 15.
14 and 15.
So how
That's
could I
very
get those
important.
wrong? It is. All right. Next, let's go to Laura Berg.
Hello.
Hi,
Hey, Laura. Great to see you.
An exciting evening.
Yeah, it definitely has been with some great poems. And looking forward to hearing what you have to share. What do you got for us?
Okay, well, I just have something whimsical, but here we go.
Okay.
My irritable dearest, I dub you Knight of the Order of Porcupine, not because King Louis invented this title for his loyal lords, but because you cook for me, the way a porcupine nips twigs in the canopy, dropping chestnuts for those who cannot climb, and pollinates night bloomers while the bees sleep. You're gentle inside those prickles, and your soft underbelly tastes sweet. Thus around your neck I clasp a golden chain and porcupine pendant. Remember to wear this over a blue velvet coat lined with red satin.
Yeah, very pretty poem. Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that, Laura.
It's a real order, but I don't think that they're dubbing people these days.
That's cool. I definitely never heard of that. The Order of the Porcupine.
Yeah, really neat. Thanks for sharing that. It was Laura Berg with My Irritable Dearest. Yeah, I like the title after. Yeah. Let's go next to Brian O'Sullivan.
Hello.
Hi, Brian.
Hey, Brian, reigning
Hey.
Poet of the Month. Great to see you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. What a great show. And Katie, I'm so amazed by your memory that you remembered that I mentioned the semicolon thing.
Okay, good. So that wasn't crazy. That was a conversation that we had.
Totally a conversation we had. And now I'm starting to think about getting a semicolon tattoo where the other half of my colon used to be. I feel like that would be a good implementation of this idea.
That's funny. Yeah,
anyway.
I remember because you had a really good semicolon poem.
I even did one with I had like a few semicolon poems. I think it might become a chapbook, but I even did one with a title that's just a punctuation mark, and now I can't use that. But that
You
was an
can
awesome
if you
poem.
wrote already.
It's worth
You
it.
can use it. Yeah.
Anyway, I did a Haibin. It didn't start out as a Haibin, but it was kind of prosy, and I gave up on trying to make it not prosy, so I just made that the prose part of the Haibin. And it's based on some family history research, so it always had that problem of it sounding too archival. Anyway, it's kind of long, so I should start.
Okay.
West Cork Secret. In the electronic byways and piles of leaves at Ancestry.com, I find an article from the Sycamorine Eagle and learn that my great-grandfather, James O'Mahony, in December 1916, won the gold medal in the Small Farm Championship of the County Agricultural Commission. What was it that made James' small domain stand out? The judges said most of the farms had clean, well-lit homes, offices, and outbuildings, and neat rows of potatoes. But they took pains to emphasize that, if economy is to be practiced, it is regrettable that they do not collect the liquid manure and thus save considerable money in the purchase of artificial manure. Only a few saved the pungent muck, and surely the gold medalist was one of them. So I conclude that my great-grandfather was good at taking shit, and good at growing life from it. Mushroom bark, fungible token, names joined in oak. And it figures, he was born in the hunger's aftermath, when the townland was still tottering. He was widowed, apparently, by a woman now unremembered, and then married to the famously feisty Johanna, who, with him, bore a brood of rebels. He took a lot of crap from Percival, the local British esquire. One day, a few years after the gold medal, when the war for independence had heated up, Percival's men torched James and Johanna's house. Cinders from their rafters drifted about as James was paraded around town in a cart, crammed into a seat beside a goat for some reason. Meanwhile, his youngest son was thought killed, but James's daughter, Mary, smuggled back the corpse, which turned out to belong to another rebel family. His sons joined the hunger strikes at Mountjoy prison, but they were eventually freed, and the house had long since been rebuilt. It still stands today on a farm now turned back into woodlands and run as a kids' activity center, water slide and all, by my cousin Finbar, who daily contends with insurers and regulators. The family is still pretty damn good at taking shit. Picnic near charred beams, drops from the cascade.
Yeah, well, really, really fun the way it goes back and forth between the humor and the serious. Yeah,
yeah, definitely. And we were on. It's funny if you'd seen like the shape of the hyben that I started with this week. It's like a very similar like thing. We were on the same wavelength, I guess, on that too, Brian.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that, Brian. Yeah,
thanks, Brian.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, it was Brian O'Sullivan with West Cork Secret.
Dr. Brian O'Sullivan.
Dr.
I saw he has a reading later this week, and I saw it pop on Facebook, and I was like, yes, he is a doctor, of course. This makes total sense. I forget sometimes, but because he's so humble.
Aw. All right. Well, next up, let's go to Nate Jacob.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Nate.
Hey, Nate. Great to see you.
Good to see you guys. Hey, for a couple hours this morning, I couldn't find an email telling me I hadn't won. So I was waiting for your phone call.
It was coming.
Oh, well. I'll wait another 365 days. That's fine.
We got you. Don't worry about
it. Hey, I found an award from a defunct 1980s wrestling magazine, which awarded prizes to wrestlers.
This is amazing. I'm sorry, I have to enter. This is exactly the kind of thing I was hoping for. The prompt. This is very exciting. Also, have to confess that I came out wearing a face mask like before the show, and Tim said I looked like a professional wrestler.
She did. It was like the six, you know, that mask. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, continue, Nate. Sorry for those unnecessary anecdotes.
It's totally fine. They offered an award for a few years titled Award for the Most Unimproved Wrestler. And I wonder, how do you quantify the most static condition? How do you, the least change? How do you, most unchanged? I don't know how you qualify that or quantify that. So I wrote a poem about that.
Great.
Because clearly that makes sense. And I tried to skirt the line between hope and cynicism in this, so it could be read either way.
Don't you always, Nate?
Well, yeah, but I try to fight the cynical part, and sometimes that works out. It's fine.
Great.
All right, title, Award for the Most Unimproved. Under a certain light, even night can be tamed, named and reframed, despite dark and deep corners keeping sight at bay. Might there be some way for me to see what lies in wait, what takes to darkness, creeps ahead as shadow reaches further into light? This lifelong fight might end in blacked out light, some state of weighty matters pressing in to thin the lines that separate this world from that, to gray the change, to make the edges even, softened, easier to erase, and all can be one, and end at last to demands for change. Tomorrow, much like every tomorrow, can be perfect again.
Yeah, really going deep there.
Yeah, I think the hope definitely won. I think it definitely beat out the cynicism. Yay.
I feel hopeful. So thanks.
Thanks, Nate.
Well, thanks so much, Nate.
Thanks a bunch.
Yeah, it's Nate Jacob with Award for the Most Unimproved. All right. Let's go to Nivedita Karthik next.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi,
Nivi. Great to see you.
Hey, guys. How are you doing?
I'm great, yeah. So what do you have for us?
Poem is short. I just have an explanation of what the award is. So it's called the Bookseller Diagram Prize for the oddest book titles ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it is awarded by two British sort of magazine seller and a company put together. So, and there's a Wikipedia page that lists out all the award-winning titles, and
that's really
they
fun,
are just hilarious.
I'm going to have
I
to
tried
look
to
that up.
incorporate a few of them. But I mean, You guys should really go and check out that Wikipedia page. Or there's a Goodreads page as well about those books. But the titles are just, it's just brilliant.
Oh, great.
The oddest titles. The oddest titles, a celebration of curiosity. In the realm of books where titles often gleam, there's a prize for the oddest, a whimsical dream. Last year's winner, The Philosopher Fish, swam through everyone's minds like a granter of a curious wish. But before that, we had How to Poo on a Date and Reusing Old Grades, Strange Bedmates. The joy of water boiling sounds strangely profound, while the Book of Marmalade is now well-renowned. From goblin-proofing one's chicken coop to the big book of lesbian horror stories, each title is a gem in this gallery of literary oddities. In these strange titles, we find laughter and cheer, and the oddest of books we forever hold.
Well, that was so fun. I love all those the other titles. Are really funny.
Yeah, that was great. How fun to learn about that. And then the rhyme makes it all click together so nicely. It makes it all the more humorous. So
yeah,
thanks.
it definitely does. Thanks. I think Nivi froze.
Philosopher's Fish is actually a scientific book about sturgeon and caviar and tuna, but then.
Well, very cool. Well, thanks so much, Nivi. It's always
Thanks,
a pleasure
Nivi.
having you on sharing that. Thanks so much.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Yep, bye. As Nivi Karthik with the oddest titles, a celebration of curiosity. Let's go next to Mark Grinier.
Hello.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Pretty good. I've got one from another realm, so see if it works for you.
All right.
Winning a prize in my bass club's father-son tournament. I don't want to brag, but I was a backseater, the newest member of the Bassmasters Club, fishing my son in their annual father-son tournament win. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Since I had no boat and never came close to winning one of the monthly bass fishing contests held by the club on the lakes and rivers scattered over Southern California's arid landscape, I felt kind of low. So I rented a boat with a 10-horse motor, packed it with stuff, and headed out to find some fish to catch and maybe win the father-son prize that day. A tackle box full of baits and lures and fishing stuff worth a couple $100 at least. We motored out and found one place, a spawning bed for bluegills packed with 8-inch fish, all eager to strike. If we dropped a bobber rig with a worm on the hook in their face, we could catch as many fish as we liked, and so we did. I set my son's bobber at about 3 feet, handed him a box full of lively worms, and watched as he tossed them out to where the fish sat, fanning their eggs and protecting them from predators out to eat them up. And so we caught fish after fish, strung them up and hung them over the side of the boat until fishing time was up. We motored back to weigh our catch and found that we'd won 3rd place, behind a boatload of trout and a boat catching bass and some cats. It was a triumph of sorts, since we'd gone low with our stringer full of 8-inch bluegills, caught by plundering their urge to spawn and protect their eggs by attacking whatever came close. The prize, Paul got a brand new rod and reel. Myself, I got to gloat.
I love the ending. Thanks so much for sharing that, Mark.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mark Grinier with winning a prize in my Bass Club's father-son tournament. Yeah. All right. Next up, let's go to Dick Westheimer.
Hey, all.
Hey.
Hey, Dick. Great to see you.
I just love the night. It's great to get the preview. I wish we could have heard the other 14.
Yeah, it would have been a very long night if we got those.
Yeah.
Charlotte would have been reading them by then.
One of the things I noted, I think there were a number of Haibun, and it's hard to find journals that you have confidence that they know what a Haibun is. And I think it might be good, maybe a resource someplace for us to put together journals that take them. Katie, you saw the one that I posted last week. And
with the great haiku.
In the rough draft of that one, the editor clipped off the haiku.
No.
Oh, really?
No, don't tell me. I can't take it. I can't take it. The haiku is so great.
So it would be good to like share resources of journals that have them.
Yeah, that's a really wonderful idea.
Yeah.
And I mean, too, I would say to everybody submitting it, if you think it's a journal that maybe is not familiar with Haibun, you can put a little bit about it in the cover letter. And then, even if you get a decline, maybe you'll get some extra information out there, because it would be great. And I do think it's spreading, but you're right. And I'm sorry that someone tried to take off your haiku. I would never let them do that to you.
He took the poem. I just had some, but the notion that, do you have to title the poem Haibun : and it's just, I wish there were more who understood the form, because I love writing.
Well, we're talking about it a lot this fall, and we'll continue talking about it. So,
actually, we have a workshop.
We have a workshop. We did a workshop. We have another workshop coming out.
Yeah, at the FOC.org.
Fine Arts Work Center. That's a weekend Haibun, online 2 days Haibun. So we're looking forward to that.
Might as well share that. Yeah.
Glad you could get a plug in.
Thank you.
So I had such a hard time with this. I've told you that before, and I don't even think it's a poem, but I love coming on, so I'll read what I wrote.
We're glad you're here. I do think it was a particularly hard prompt. I really do. Like, I struggled too, I want you to know, and I don't say that easily, so I did. Thank you for being here.
So my award was the Golden Bull Award for the worst examples of corporate written tripe from the Plain English campaign. So I just went for it. After finding a dead deer by our creek. Golden Bull Corp all hands memo to our valued employees from HR and Department of Internal Security. Subject: in regard to the dead deer lying by the creek. It has come to our attention that the deer corpse lying by the creek has begun to decompose. Since our mission is to synergistically leverage our core competencies, none of our internal stakeholders are assigned to the removal of the corpse from corporate premises. Also note, none of the objectives in our current strategic plan include metrics for removal of carrion of any kind. Therefore, we will be leaving the dead deer by the creek until further notice. Also note, 1, the sharing of photos of the dead deer on social media is strictly forbidden. 2, the presence of the dead deer in no way reflects our commitment to our employees. 3, we want you to embrace an owner's mentality, so if asked, you should say, without being able to say that I can say it, that we are very concerned about the situation. 4, dead deer are part of the circle of life. 5, several of you have reported that Buck from HR has not been seen at his desk this week. Let's circle back on that. 6, the coyotes seen on our main campus are part of our new initiative of proactive B2B preemptive defense. 7, be sure to designate an emergency contact on your weekly progress report.
Well, you definitely had a lot of fun with that, Dick. That was a really fun poem.
Yeah, and thank you for underlining my decision never to enter corporate America if I could help it. So.
Yes, this is your Dilbert moment.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, thanks for that, Dick.
Yeah, thanks, Dick.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
There's Dick Westheimer with a Golden Bull Award. Let's go next to Amanda Harris.
So this award show was really, really wonderful, and I absolutely thank Rattle for doing it.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Great,
Yeah.
Amanda.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So the poem, I decided to have a lot of fun with this, is called the Darwin Awards. All right. Leaves gas on, claiming the fumes of health benefits. Pays to attend a mental health conference and spends the entire time on blue sky. Parks near a fire hydrant. Makes wax wings and assumes they will fly.
There you go.
It's really fun.
Great little Darwin Awards poem.
Yeah,
Thanks so much for
thanks,
sharing that,
Amanda.
Amanda.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, Amanda Harris with Darwin Awards. Let's go next to Nancy Tennell.
I posted a longer version of my poem on our Facebook page, totally ignoring Billy Collins' example of not making it too specific. So I went back and shortened it to make a shorter poem and kept some of the elements in, but it's sort of generic as far as news. The Shafta Awards go to tabloids.
Nice.
I had never heard of those.
No, me
But
neither. But yeah, sounds good.
This poem is called The Shafta. Few people know about the Shafta Awards and the dubious tabloids they recognize. But this year they honored the lifetime achievement of a paper that brings us the best of the worst, keeps us up to date with a myriad supply of unproven stories and lurid untruths. So, who got the Shafta this year? For their fierce dedication to hounding the celebrities who gained 60 pounds and still wore bikinis, for their determination to prove that space aliens are here, for their checkout line accessibility everywhere, for whittling down IQs to make our brains lighter, this year's Shafta goes to the National Enquirer. When it comes to worthless news, no one is better.
Another fun one. Yeah, there was a fun prompt, Katie. A lot of fun poems. So.
Lighter
it
than
was.
quieter. It's fun. Well, I'll definitely think of you, Nancy, the next time I'm in a grocery store checkout, pretending not to read the headlines.
Yeah.
Well, thanks
well,
so much,
the one
Nancy.
about the bikinis is true. I got online and said, what are the current headlines in the tabloids? And the National Enquirer, somebody actually said, look at these photos of Chelsea Clinton in a bikini after she gained 60 pounds.
Gosh, they're
crazy.
real desperate.
They really
they're
are.
real desperate.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nancy.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that, Nancy. Yeah, that was Nancy Tanell with the Shafta.
Which also sounds like generic cola.
It does.
The Shasta.
Well, the Shasta.
Yeah.
Yeah, in California, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, not a classy beverage.
No, I enjoyed the Shasta. No, not really. Anyway.
Okay.
Let's go next to Rick Pongratz.
Hello.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, Rick. Yeah,
Hi.
great to see you.
It's great to see you all too. Wonderful show. So many wonderful poets and poems tonight. Thank you. So my poem is about cowboy poker, which is a Darwin Award waiting to happen. And so if you're not familiar, it's an event that's held at small town rodeos where volunteers from the stands come out and they place their hand on a card table, and the last one to run away from the bull in the arena wins.
Oh,
So,
my.
Wow.
That is pretty
yeah.
scary.
Wow.
You can find fun videos on YouTube.
I feel like I should have heard about this because we live in Texas and I was a professional poker player, but I'm learning about poker today on the Rattlecast. So,
All right. Well, here we go. Cowboy poker at the Summerfest rodeo. His 17-year-old fingers wrap around the once white, shit-stained corral bars. He walks into the arena, my kid brother, who doesn't like cows, hates to work them in the stocks with me. He volunteers to be chased by a bull. I can only think he's trying to impress the girl. It's a weird feeling the first time your younger sibling does something you would never do. I know we parted about then. Once the same school, same sports, same church, same pews, only our underwear had different initials. Now he clings to religion, I abstain. I've left the farm, he memorizes harvest schedules. In a crumbling country, he is red and I am blue while we struggle to speak purple. His hand sticks to the beige card table, running round and round, the bull's horn always an inch behind. He's oblivious to me in the silver bleachers. Scared I'll lose him, I still believe in us. Come on, David, don't let go.
Wow, there's some drama in that one. Yeah, that's a difficult award to win for sure. Thanks so much for sharing that, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, thank
Good
you.
to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, it was Rick Pongratz with Cowboy Poker at the Summerfest Rodeo. And next, let's go to Jamina Arachavala.
Hello again.
Yeah, great to see you again. Yeah.
Good to see
Thanks
you.
for coming
Glad
back.
you came back this week too.
Yes, I did. So I Googled obscure awards and I found this really adorable group of people who give awards for tree hugging. So out of that came a very earnest kind of poem.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So here's to the finalists of the Tree Hugging World Championship who practiced for months on a poplar or a maple or a weeping beech, in a park, on a mountain, in their backyard, then traveled to Finland for the grand finale, closed their eyes, and rested again their songs and their sorrows on gentle towers of time. A prize for stopping and being quiet. Listen to a song of ants, mist pooling and dripping, wings that wait. A prize for remembering the trees are long, the trees have centuries, and we don't. I'd love to give a prize just for the trees. Not the tallest or the oldest, and not the trees that bloom in purple clouds for a few days of the year, but the plain cedars near my home. One as common as the next, swaying, keeping their secrets. A prize for their barks as they soften in the rain. A prize for the way they forgive us everything. I want to give a prize for the calloused hands of a man who spent the day trimming a lemon tree. Not his tree and not his job, and not so anyone would notice, because he wants to save it from falling in a storm. I want to give another prize just for his fingers when they move across my face, as if touching lavender in a private garden. I can't get the admiration of my former schoolmates, let alone a prize. I've returned to my hometown with no money and no fame and no titles and no house to sell or buy. Still, I'd like to give a special mention, not to the strength of my lungs or the sharpness of my mind, but to the avid corner of my eye, stopping me while I cross the street through the driver's glares and car horns, to catch a bit of sky pierced by church bells, pierced by oak trees, pierced by starlings.
So many beautiful lines in that one.
Yeah, they really are. And thanks for telling us about that competition or the championship.
Yes.
That's fascinating too. I want to enter.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah. That was Jamina Arachivala with Here's to the Finalists of the Tree Hugging World Championship. Great praise poem, too. All right. And let's go next to Tina Denniclaw.
Hi, Tina.
Let's see. Hi.
Hey, Tina. Great to
How
see
are
you.
you guys? I asked
Yeah,
my
we're
husband to
good.
turn on the light, but he's busy.
Well, that's all right. We see it perfectly.
We see your face lit
Yeah.
up.
Okay. So, yeah, I was kind of uncertain about this choice, but I guess the Ignoble Prize isn't that well known. I guess I'll just read it.
Okay.
I think it'll become clear. So, doubleheader win, noble and ignoble. The life of a frog at university should be a boring lot. Down the halls, small water drops float and kiss in a magnetic field, and so the adventure was on. Diamagnetism is a blast for a pair of married physicists. Strawberries levitate and cherry tomatoes. Let's try a frog. The physicist's wife was keen to see. She knows what's fun, and he was game. Absconded from a biolab, the Anuran swam through the air like an astronaut in the space station, spinning here and there. Set back unharmed into his tank, the other frogs thought he was drunk. They didn't believe that he could fly. They didn't imagine such a story would win the ignoble prize. 10 years later, the husband in this story would win the Nobel Prize for his work on graphene. He first created one atom thick material by stripping graphite layers repeatedly with Scotch tape. And I have pictures of this person. He's originally from Russia, but he discovered that he liked doing science in the UK and the Netherlands. So
very
he
interesting.
moved.
So the
So
Ig
Sir
Nobel Award-
Andrei Konstantin, I'm not sure how to say his last name, Geim. He's the only scientist to date who has won both the Nobel Prize and the Ig Nobel Prize. And the Ig Nobel Prize, it's always something interesting and fun. Like one of them was calculating why pregnant women don't topple over all the time. Another one was figuring out why the buttered bread always falls buttered sides down.
Mhm.
Somebody figured out how to the curve of a teapot that wouldn't drip. So, at any rate, he got his for making a frog float with a magnet about 10 times the strength of a CT scan.
Oh, wow.
His advice to young scientists are don't take yourself too seriously, and basically science is fun. So I think he's imitating his.
Yeah. So the Ig Nobel Prize,
his
like,
floating
it's for
frog.
like the silliest science, but real science, I guess. Interesting. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for sharing that, Tina.
Thanks, Tina.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes, Tina Denniclaw with doubleheader win, Nobel and Ig Nobel. That's funny. All right. I think that's going to wrap up the prompt lines for this week. Yeah. Let's see. Ted sent an award poem in. Ted said, Ted Bernal-Guevara, he says, in 2011, 10 years after George Harrison had died, an English fan club supposedly tried to inject an award called the Durable Ringo. It had hoped to have more luster than the Grammy. So far, bands like Pink Floyd brushed it off as too damn early, mate. References to Ringo's songs are throughout the sonnet. All right, interesting. Do I know any Ringo songs? I don't know. We'll find out, maybe. The Double Ringo. Experience the voyage of the yellow submarine, carrying a gardening octopus on its back. Incredulous, sublime, but it's the magic of mine for getting by with little help from swag and slack. One could only drum for meddlesome lads in Liverpool because the original got ill from taking too many pills. Standing in was on target and astonishingly cool. From mania they became with a sweet lullaby that kills. Mojo sparked, curled in him. He wedded that Bond girl Bach. But who'd spin an award from he who is his own plaque? Certainly not Clapton, who preferred his trophies dead. Not still kicking like the strum of Willie or even that of lead. Yes, he, besides Sir Paul, is the testament of the music gland in us all. Don't gold him as of yet, our quest, his bequest undone. Interesting there. The Durable Ringo, that's an interesting award. Yeah, thanks for pulling that up, Ted.
Thanks, Ted.
Yeah, Ted Bernal-Guevara. And that's going to wrap up the open lines for tonight, I believe. Yeah, everybody here. All right, so let's do the haiku for the week. And now this one was written, I flew back to California because Alan needs to do all meetings in person.
That was this week.
That was this week, yeah. And so on the plane, I saw someone reading a newspaper.
No.
Which was for the first time in a while. So here is a little haiku about the newspaper. Man spreading the anachronism of a newspaper. There you go. Man spreading the anachronism of a newspaper.
Did he also try to encroach on your seat? Or no?
He was encroaching everywhere with that thing. Those things are big. You forget.
Yeah. Oh, I don't forget.
Do you forgive? Anyway, that is the haiku for the week, and that is the show for this week. Now, what is your prompt for next week, Katie?
Let's see. I'm still. I like that haiku. That's nice.
Oh, thank you.
Write a poem about a time you got more than you bargained for.
Oh, that sounds fun. Is that a Costco reference?
No, but
Okay.
Costco was swimming in my head. Let's be honest. No, I mean, obviously, the idea is hopefully it's not just monetary.
Mhm.
Otherwise, your poem's probably boring.
All right. Well, write a poem about a time you got more than you bargained
More
for.
than you bargained for. You have to say it like that.
More
I'm
than you
sorry,
bargained
I should have
for.
implied that. It's going to have to be an audio
Okay.
file on the Rattle website.
Okay, we'll do it. We got it covered.
Well, this is really fun to look at all the prize winners.
Yeah, it definitely was. Yeah, this was a great episode. You know, we did have a good amount of viewers live and get to share these poems. And, you know, it's like you were talking about the people who watch the Rattlecast as like the real hardcore lovers of rattle and thus poetry. And it's really cool to be able to share these poems with them ahead of time, you know, and then, you know, other people who are sort of more on the periphery, not paying as much attention, will check them out 3 months from now. But everybody else who watches the show gets it in advance. That's a lot of fun.
That's true.
And then, too, the poems are poems that grow on you. So when you read them again, they'll be even better than the first time.
Yes, which is exactly why previously published things should be allowed everywhere, and curation is so important. We should be able to share our poems on social media and still be published everywhere.
Definitely should. Yep. So, yeah, thanks for embodying that, Katie. And thanks for being the co-host tonight for the whole episode.
Well, thank you. I did have to stop and take a quick restroom break. I don't know how you do it, but that's another comment. Okay.
All right. Well, yeah, it's definitely a pleasure. And now, next week's guest on the Rattlecast is going to be, we mentioned it already, Roberta Beery is here. She has a new book, which is wonderful, Crazy Bitches, which is it all Hyben? Okay, so is her book of Hyben, is it new and selected? I haven't checked it out yet. Completely. We read some of it before. Yeah, well, it's a wonderful book.
Yes.
And, Roberta is just one of the stars of the haiku world, and this is sort of putting it all together. That's a great book by Roberta Beery coming up next Monday, September 15th. Your poems about a time you got more than you bargained for. That's going to be Rattlecast number 310, the regular time, Monday, September 15th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Hope to see you there. Hope you have a great week. In the meantime, we'll talk to you later. Goodbye.
Good night.